Rader Ford was a man with a dream to see the world, but his job kept him chained to a desk. One day, he decided enough was enough and booked a ticket to the most remote place he could think of. His destination, a small, forgotten island in the Pacific known for its mysterious history. Rader's friends laughed at his choice, saying he'd get bored in a place with no internet. But Rader wasn't looking for Wi-Fi, he was looking for adventure. The moment he stepped off the boat, Rader knew this was going to be the trip of a lifetime. The island was full of vibrant colors, strange sounds, and a smell of the unknown that thrilled him. His first encounter was with a parrot that seemed to speak in riddles, confusing and amusing him at the same time. Who needs Google when you've got a parrot? Rader joked to himself. He found a small, rustic inn run by an elderly couple who welcomed him with warm smiles. The room was simple but cozy, with a bed that squeaked with every movement. This is perfect, Rader thought as he unpacked his bag, eager to explore. The next morning, Rader set out on foot, armed with a map that looked older than he was. The island's trails were overgrown, but he loved the challenge of finding his way. Along the path, he met a local fisherman who offered to take him to a secret spot known only to a few. Rader agreed, excited about the possibility of a hidden treasure or a breathtaking view. The fisherman led him to a secluded beach with water so clear it looked like glass. Rader stood in awe, the beauty of the place taking his breath away. This is what life is all about, he thought, feeling more alive than he had in years. As they returned to the village, the fisherman told Rader stories of the island's past. There were tales of pirates, hidden gold, and a curse that scared off most visitors. Rader laughed, enjoying the mix of history and folklore. That evening, he dined with the innkeepers, who served a feast of local delicacies. The food was strange but delicious, and Rader marveled at how different everything was from his life back home. Over dinner, the innkeepers shared their own stories, including one about a cave filled with ancient carvings. Rader's curiosity was piqued, and he decided that would be his next adventure. The next day, he set out early, determined to find the cave before the sun set. The hike was challenging, with steep climbs and narrow paths, but Rader pushed on. Finally, he found the entrance, hidden behind a waterfall that roared with power. Inside, the cave was dark and cold, but Rader's flashlight revealed walls covered in intricate carvings. The images told a story of a long-lost civilization that once thrived on the island. Rader was fascinated, imagining what life must have been like for those who lived here centuries ago. As he explored deeper, he found a small chamber where the air felt thick with history. In the center of the room was a stone altar, covered in dust and forgotten by time. Rader felt a chill run down his spine, sensing he had stumbled upon something important. He took a few photos, careful not to disturb anything, and left the cave with a sense of accomplishment. Back at the inn, Rader shared his discovery with the innkeepers, who were amazed. "You found something special," they told him, their eyes wide with wonder. Rader felt a deep sense of satisfaction, knowing he had uncovered a piece of the island's history. Over the next few days, Rader continued to explore, finding hidden beaches, ancient ruins, and friendly locals. Each day was a new adventure, filled with surprises and moments of pure joy. He laughed more than he had in years, finding humor in the simplest things. One day, he decided to try his hand at fishing, borrowing a rod from the fisherman he'd met earlier. After a few failed attempts, Rader finally caught a fish, and the sense of accomplishment was immense. "This is better than any promotion," he thought, smiling to himself. The island had a way of making him forget about the stresses of his old life. Rader felt lighter, as if the weight of the world had been lifted off his shoulders. He spent his evenings watching the sunset, each one more beautiful than the last. The colors in the sky were unlike anything he'd ever seen, a reminder of the world's natural beauty. On his last night, the innkeepers threw a farewell party for Rader, inviting everyone in the village. There was music, dancing, and laughter, the perfect end to his journey. Rader felt a deep connection to the people he'd met, as if he'd found a second home. As the night wore on, Rader realized how much he had changed in just a few short weeks. He was no longer the stressed, overworked man who had arrived on the island. Instead, he was someone who had rediscovered the joy of living, the thrill of adventure. The island had given him more than just memories. It had given him a new perspective on life. Rader knew he couldn't go back to his old ways, trapped behind a desk. He had tasted freedom and he wanted more. The next morning, as he packed his bags, Rader felt a mix of emotions. He was sad to leave the island, but excited about what the future held. Rader took one last walk around the village, saying goodbye to the friends he'd made. The fisherman gave him a small carved fish as a keepsake, a reminder of his time on the island. The innkeepers hugged him, their eyes filled with tears, but also pride. "You're one of us now," they told him, and Rader smiled, feeling truly accepted. As the boat pulled away from the shore, Rader watched the island grow smaller in the distance. He knew he would carry the lessons he'd learned there with him forever. Rader returned home, but he wasn't the same man who had left. He quit his job, deciding to pursue his passion for travel and writing. His friends were shocked, but Rader was happier than he'd ever been. He began documenting his travels, sharing his stories with the world. People were inspired by his adventures, eager to break free from their own routines. Rader became a beacon of hope, proving that it's never too late to follow your dreams. He traveled to places he'd only ever dreamed of, each one a new chapter in his life. Rader found joy in the simple things, like meeting new people and experiencing different cultures. He laughed often, finding humor in the unexpected moments of his journey. Rader also faced challenges, but he embraced them, knowing they were part of the adventure. He learned to trust himself, to believe in his ability to overcome any obstacle. Rader's story inspired others to take risks, to step out of their comfort zones. He received letters from people all over the world, thanking him for giving them the courage to chase their own dreams. Rader realized that his journey wasn't just about seeing new places, it was about discovering himself. He found a new purpose in life, one that was more fulfilling than anything he'd ever known. Rader continued to travel, always looking for the next great adventure. He climbed mountains, crossed deserts, and sailed across oceans, each experience shaping him in new ways. But no matter where he went, he always carried a piece of that small island with him. It was a reminder that life is about more than just work and routine. It's about taking chances, embracing the unknown, and living fully. Rader Ford had found his true self on that island, and he would never forget it. His life became a testament to the power of adventure and the joy of discovery. He learned that the world is full of beauty if you're willing to look for it. Rader's story spread far and wide, inspiring a new generation of explorers. He became a legend in his own right, a symbol of the adventurous spirit. But to Rader, he was just a man who had decided to take a chance on life. He knew that the most important journey was the one that led him to himself. Rader Ford lived his life to the fullest, with no regrets and no looking back. He laughed, he loved, and he lived, embracing every moment with open arms. The world was his playground, and he played with the joy of a child. Rader knew that life was short, and he made the most of every second. His story was one of hope, courage, and the pursuit of happiness. And as he looked back on his journey, Rader Ford smiled, knowing he had truly lived. The end of one adventure was just the beginning of another, and Rader was ready for whatever came next.